Hey guys, Dan here, just providing you a bit of an easy Excel tutorial to help you out in your day-to-day. What I want to show and talk through with you guys today is I want to go through and help you understand a VLOOKUP, what to do, what to look for, understanding some of the easy confusions that can come out of this when looking at the data, and really just showing you how simple it is and how you could apply it into your day-to-day. So what I got here is this new spreadsheet. It's got a bit of a data set here. What I'm looking at is just the flavors on the left, and just got a number range over here. Now, out of that list, I've just grabbed 3 of the flavors out: vanilla, strawberry, chocolate. And what I'm looking to do here in this data set is really to understand the number of the vanilla, strawberry, and chocolate from there. So how do we do this? First, we type in equal and we type VLOOKUP. Now you hit tab, it will complete the formula for you, and it gives you these options that need to be fulfilled. So you see first here we have the lookup value. Now this is just referencing, well, what data do you want to use to look up in the table or data set? So for this example, we're going to use vanilla, so that's D2. Next, we're going to choose comma, and it's asking for a table array. Now, what this table array is, well, where do you want to validate this data or lookup value in? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it, well, you know what? I want to have a look in A. I know there's should be data there for it, and I'm going to select that. So A2 to A8. I'm going to go comma again. Now it's going to ask me a column or index number. Now in this example, we're only looking at one column, so we only need to go 1. And this is the value that will be returned to us. And then comma, a true or false match. Now really, when you're looking to do VLOOKUPs, you want to have a false response, which is an exact match. That way you get the data you're after. So for this, I'm going to go 0, which is false, 1 is true. I'm going to hit enter. Now what that does is it tells me that vanilla exists from this value to this value here. Now how can we validate that it is what it is? So we're just going to go here, we're going to change it to vanilla. And you'll see there what happens is an NA. So already right away we can confirm that this data is correct from our data set, and it returns vanilla. Now if we go over here and we grab the little bar and just drag it down for the last 2 to copy the formula, you'll see it picks up strawberry and you'll see it picks up chocolate. So what I can validate is, yep, these 3 flavors do exist in the table, and here's the response to tell me otherwise. Now, if strawberry wasn't in there anymore and I just change it to a berry flavor, I'm going to get this result, NA. Now, NA isn't really a nice thing to look at sometimes in sheets, just really depends on what you're trying to provide. And this is just an error that gets thrown to you. But there is a way we can correct the error, and we can provide a different messaging rather than just NA to make it a bit more meaningful. So what do I mean by that? So let's have a look at the formula again. We'll go in here and say equal VLOOKUP, look up this cell in this table, and return an exact match. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to use the error catching. So we're going to go if error, tab to complete. And what that's done is it's provided us a new formula to calculate. So you see here, if error, this is the value to return. But if we proceed and we catch an error, return this value instead. So the if error allows the formula to validate, but if it's incorrect and we get like an NA, which the system understands, it will allow us to give appropriate messaging. So what I'll do here is if error VLOOKUP. So then I'll put a comma here, and you'll see it's jumped across from value to value if error. And we can use quotations and say not in dataset. And then we can close that bracket off. And you'll see there, it's come back and it's returned not in dataset. So that's the way we can validate the error that's occurred. Now, what you would have noticed, now I'm not too sure if you did, but you'll see another error we had there from when we started doing this formula was because I've dragged down from here down to row E4. You have a look here at A2, A8, and I'll just tab down. You'll see it's now A3, A9. You'll see A4, A10. Now, this is fine for the data set we have because I know those values come after what I was looking at. But say, for instance, over here, if we were to put, let's say, we're looking at apple, we wanted cherry, we wanted licorice, and we wanted berry. Now, why have I picked these examples for? I'll get to that in a second. So you see here, apple, cherry, licorice, berry is in a different order to what we have here. We have apple, berry, cherry, licorice. So what I'm expecting is, once I drag that formula down, I'm expecting to get an error saying NA because the data sets move. So quickly, I'll just go in and we'll go equal VLOOKUP. And I'm going to click on this value here. We're going to look that up in this data set here. So let's just say, for example, we're looking from apples to bubblegum, just to validate this example for you. And I want to return 1, and we're going to do a 0. Now, you'll see that apples returned. I should see the other ones returned, and straight away, yep, I have an NA that berry is not able to be found. Now, what can we do to correct this so we don't have issues with the data set when we look up data? Well, if you click back on the first formula here, you'll see A3 and A8 are just a loose term at the moment. So what we can do by pressing F4 on the data, you'll see it adds these dollar signs, which means it's making it a static call. Now that means that no matter where I copy this data down to, the values that don't have the static value in there are likely to change. For example, G2 will change to G3. So now I'm going to update the formula by dragging it down, and you'll see it's returned berry for me. So that's just one of the troubleshooting ways that you can kind of validate that the formula has been copied correctly through the cells. So we keep the data set as a static value. Now, there is another step we can do here if we want to have a look at what values we can return instead. So sometimes you want to find the data and return the value opposite. So what can we do here? So this is where we'll get into the VLOOKUP. And before we do that, let's just do the if error just to get you familiar with writing that out. Apologies, wrong arrow. We'll go if error. Oh, if error VLOOKUP. Now I want to look up apple, comma. I want to look up both A and B in the columns. Put a comma there. Now, when I was talking before about the column index number, because we only had the one column, we only were looking to return the one value. Now, what we can do here, because we've introduced a second column, is say, well, you know what? Have a look in columns A2 to B8, but I want you to return me the value in B. And to do that, we simply add a 2. Put a comma, and then we want our false, and we close that off. Now, if there's an error, sometimes I like to just leave it just as a dash. Just helps me when I filter off. But otherwise, just going back to this number. So if you had 6 columns, you can pick a number between 1 to 6 to return that value, etc., etc. So now we'll see a 5. Now, to make sure we do it again correct, we'll highlight this and we'll go F4. Oops. Go here, F4 and enter. And then what we're going to do, drag that down, and we'll see 5 and 5. We'll see 6 and 6. We'll see 3 and 3. We'll see 13 and 13. Hopefully this has helped some of you to navigate around Excel and understand how the VLOOKUP formula works. Please leave a comment down below if you do have any other questions around what I've shown you today. Otherwise, enjoy, have fun, and stay safe. Cheers.